notification.
It usually takes a little bit.
Okay.
Go ahead, talk, Paul.
Hello.
Yeah, I hear you. How about Rich?
How you doing, Wayne?
I'm doing good. Okay, got me. All
got
three
you.
of us.
We got you.
sound. And we got you two guys.
We're in.
We're in. All right. Did it come up yet?
Yep.
No, it came up. Oh, sorry.
Are all three of us on?
Hang on.
Or it's just you two?
Nope, just us two so far, but it's like 20 seconds behind.
Yeah, I don't know why this camera's not on.
You're not on.
It's all right. They can hear me. They don't have to look at me.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It's Wayne Malin, Rich Canova, and Paul Lash for the Friday morning show. For some reason, I don't know why the computer camera's not working, but I'm here. Can't see me,
You're hiding.
but try to figure it out. I'll
Yeah.
text Mike, figure it out for Monday. But he's up in the air, flying out to his son's wedding out in Kansas.
He's been up in the air without a plane. Just watch him when he eats that donut.
Yeah,
that
so
white
I don't want to mess around with us anymore since we're on the air now. Anybody hear us out there? Anybody joining us? Looks like we got a few people.
Oh, good.
Good morning, gents. Good morning, Victoria. Yes, I'm running the show, and I screwed up again. Now you can't see me, but I guess you can hear me.
Can you hear me now?
And that's all you really need to do. So, gentlemen, last few days we've had a lot going on in the town. We talked about some of it yesterday, and the Board of Finance decisions and things going on like that, and the proposals, the cuts, because these are just proposals. Nothing's been done yet.
Sure.
Sure. So we had some viewpoints from Kathy and Mike, and now we got you two fine gentlemen talk about what you think about, and the people out there listening. You know, we can answer your questions and whatever you got or want to know, or if you know something we don't know. What do you think, Paul?
Well, it's obvious that they're going for a certain number. The cuts are not done based on whether it's good or it's bad. The cuts are based on getting the mill rate at a certain number. Whether it's this, that, it's going to be cut.
They want something that's going to be acceptable to the community.
That's
what they
that's
feel
what
as
they're
though
after.
the community can afford as a whole. And I think
correct.
that's why they targeted that 1.5 mil increase,
Right.
Which really isn't a lot of increase because 1.1 of it was money from last year that needs to be paid back. And, it really only leaves a 0.38 or 0.39 increase in the grand scheme of things, which isn't much, but 1.5, considering we have had zeros for the last few years, which shouldn't have happened, is a lot. It really is.
Yeah. So, we haven't had 0 mil increases 3 of the last 4 years, and we had a 0.34 1 year, I believe. And then they borrowed the $600K from the general fund, and they're trying to pay that back this year. And so that started us off along with the bonding payments for the field.
Right.
Got us at the 1.1 mil starting point, as Scott Davis pointed out at the beginning of the meeting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a lot of good mornings, a lot of people. Got Mr. Davis listening in, so watch out.
Be careful.
Watch out. Hey, Scott, did Mike get back to you about Tuesday? I hope he did, because he's known for not doing that. I don't want you showing up Tuesday, and we'll figure out a time to get you on.
Yeah.
I mean, just Ryan coming on Tuesday to talk about youth services and things like that. His program's coming up in the summer.
Yeah. I heard they want to cut it back to a part-time. What could happen there? I mean, if you got a guy or a woman, whoever it is working full-time, all of a sudden now they're depending on a full-time salary. If they get cut back to half, what does that mean? It's a good possibility they're going to quit and go somewhere else.
And that job is self-funded anyway.
So
the revenue to pay that salary comes from what they do. It's truly not a debt to the town.
Yeah. So Scott says he was not aware about Tuesday. So
because the selectmen's meeting,
I'm
they had
talking about so Mike had invited Scott on Tuesday.
Oh,
I already told him I had
yeah.
Ryan coming on, so
Yeah.
I didn't want him to show
Yeah, I
up.
just wasn't sure if he was aware that Ryan was presenting his case to the selectmen a couple of nights earlier with that Plan A, Plan B thing,
Yeah.
as far as the money from the town or if it's money coming from him, however it was going to work out. And I thought it was
Well,
pretty good. Everybody liked it.
There's an option there. So there's,
Oh, of course.
you know, and I had sent an email to Scott about some options and try to work through it.
Hey, if nothing else, there's a petition out there for the rec department. Sign it.
Yeah, so I guess there's a petition being passed around, and there's there's going to be a
There'll be
things
conversation
like
on that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's not over. So
No.
it's just the beginning, and it'll continue.
Yeah, but think about it. If they have a guy that's full time,
And Scott says that job is not self-funded.
Really?
Yeah, that's what he said. So,
I mean, you got somebody. If you were working full time and you're relying on that full time paycheck, and then you get cut to half pay, what does that mean? That means that you can't live on a half pay.
No.
So
I don't
that
think
person,
he's not getting rich off that job either. So
no, but at least he's got full pay. What does that mean? That's possibly going to happen. They got to go take off. He's going to go get a job somewhere. He gets full time pay. So now he loses a person with a lot of knowledge based on what they do at the rec center.
Yeah,
So,
it's not only that; it's how is that going to affect the support, the programs, and
Yeah.
kids and things like that. And I think I'm not on Facebook or any of this social media, so I'm hearing it from
I mean,
a lot of people that are on it. That there's a lot of people up in arms about that call, and I'm sure there's some other stuff out there too. But people have to realize these are proposals, and you'll have a right to speak your mind, or in a nice, respectful manner,
well,
to say this is why we need the stuff, and this is what we need to do to go forward. So
yeah. I mean, I
Making
understand
adjustments.
that the finance board they have a tough job.
Oh, absolutely. Who would want to? Who would want to
We're
do
not
that? Right?
knocking what they do.
Yep.
It's a tough job, but
No,
there's
when
a
you're-
lot of things that rely on
Yep.
the things that happen in the town that to chop them is like.
right.
But what do you do?
So Scott said people should understand this is only a preliminary budget, not final. We wanted the public to see a more accurate budget to comment on. So
Well, it's true. It's only a proposal. I mean, it's up for discussion. That's why there's 2 more meetings before it goes to referendum, and people can voice their concerns and maybe sway them to do something. But somebody that I did speak to last night, actually, I don't know. I mean, they confirmed that position was self-funded by the number of people that brings in for summer activities.
well, we can ask Ryan that question Tuesday.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I mean,
he'll know more than I will.
just
about
going by what I got told
Right.
last night.
the way he was presenting to the Board of Finance. I think it was like 3 weeks ago when we were in the senior center. He was trying to steer it so that he could, he needed startup funds, and
Right.
then he should be able to self-fund his programs
And pay it back at the end of the
and
year.
whatever is excess goes back to
Right. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
the
to me,
town.
that maybe the town's got to put the money up, but they're going to get
Yeah,
it
it's got
back.
to go up front.
That's
Yeah.
self-funded in my opinion, but
So we can get some more detail from Ryan on Tuesday
Sure.
on that.
Yeah.
Any other comments from anybody out there? Any questions? I will say that, so last night we had the food drive at the town garage, 138, and there was a traffic issue out there that,
Really?
yeah, we got soaked. We served 250 families. It's a great thing.
Oh, I know. I've done
but
it once or twice.
I got a lot of happy people waving at me and telling me what a great job I'm doing. No, that was not the case. But I will say this, apologize for the traffic jam, but I'm not going to apologize because we did serve 250
Sure.
families
sure.
and had a lot of volunteers out there getting soaked from head to toe.
Yep.
And it's a good thing. And I'm sure we're going to have further discussion on what we got to do to alleviate that problem.
Was there an accident?
No.
No, because I know a lot of people were talking about traffic being backed up from there all the way to the Griswold Fire Department at one point, and somebody passed somebody on the right-hand side that was trying to turn into the Department of Public Works, and I don't know if it turned into an accident or what happened.
there were some close calls because
Yeah.
some people are getting impatient.
Well, plus it was raining too, so
Yeah, it was raining.
that doesn't help.
What was the reason for moving it for the garage? It used to be at the school.
Because we were running the same problem at the school. Not only that, parents were picking kids up from practice, sports, and stuff like that. That's about the same time as we're having the food drive, and parents were getting upset about the delays and them getting caught in the line to pick up their kids. So it's when you've got that many cars lining up, to get food to help feed their families. It's
So I used to
we don't
do
have a
that.
spot. I mean, the town garage could be a good spot.
It's not very long line. You got the one length, and then you got going across.
So we
the
went
front.
2 lines, and then we actually went 3 lines,
Oh, you did.
right down to a certain point. But you got to remember, it was raining, pouring. These people were on the grass.
Yeah.
So it started turning into mud. And
I did
actually
it.
they
I
had
did
to
it
pull
when I
one of the
was-
volunteers' cars out with straps to get him out of the mud because he was stuck.
When I was still working, I did it every month when it was at Waquanic School up in Taft Hill before they moved it over to Three Rivers, and people are actually complaining about that at this point. But neither here nor there. It was all walk up. It wasn't drive up, so you didn't have that problem. People had to park and walk in to get it. We didn't do 250 people there. I mean, a good night was probably 80 or 90, but it was still a lot of people, and it was 2 hours of, it was different. You didn't get handed you got to go up and pick whatever they had and how much they allowed you to have of each thing, and you walked away with your own stuff. But
yeah,
it was different. I don't know how they do it at Three Rivers. I've never done it over there because that was after I retired, but it was different.
there really
So
is
there'll
good place.
be further conversation. I know Tina's going to try and because Tina was there, Todd was there. They saw what was going on. And,
I mean, where do you go? There really is
No.
when you have.
I
that
got
many-
one comment here to move it back to the school because some of the people can walk there that can't walk there now that it's in the town garage.
That's true.
So we tried doing it with the line wrapping around the school and then going to the back of the school. And then we tried wrapping around the intermediate school parking lot, and that became an issue. And so more thought and more discussion into that. When we talked about going to the town garage, I had mentioned the 138 issue, and it can be a challenge. It's been a challenge.
especially at 4:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's
It's like a
people are
highway
returning
out there.
home. Yeah, returning home from work, both ways,
Yeah.
and you even got the school buses roaming around out there. So
Yeah.
We'll have to figure it out.
I mean, there's really no good place that you can drive in and drive out if you think about it.
No.
No.
These people start lining up like before 3
Oh,
o'clock.
Sure.
they're really
Oh, sure.
early.
They're early.
Well, they don't want to be number 249.
I
that's
showed up
why.
at 4 quarter after 3. You're supposed to start like 3:45, something like that, and they were already probably 20, 30 cars there already. At least. So
Yeah, and you just drive down step to step, station to station.
yeah, and then the truck comes and you got to pull the pallets off. Open
Yeah,
the
they
pallets
just-
up, break down
they
the
just
food,
drive
get that
down.
all set
Yeah,
up, and
so
then you
they-
can start marching the
Yeah,
cars through.
yeah.
You have like 2-3 stations set up.
Yep.
Yeah, so it takes a while to set up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh well.
It's a good cause. People need the food. People are struggling. Price. I went and got gas this morning. I looked at the price. I had to do a double take. It was like $3.79 a gallon.
it went
I said,
up.
what the hell did that?
I just paid
Where'd that come from?
$3.35 on Monday or Tuesday. I think
Yeah, me
it
too.
was $3.30. It went up to the one up by me on 138 was $3.67 or $3.76, something like that. It was
Must
like,
be
oh my
springtime.
god, yeah.
Usually goes up around May, right?
Well, they said it's
You're getting the
travel.
summer gas now, not the
Yeah.
winter gas,
It's
right?
just going to go up to $4. What they're saying.
Well, of course, they predicted it. That's where it's going to go.
Yeah. So, but hey,
Well, between that and utility rates and insurance rates and
well, the other thing now is I feel sorry for landlords. Now they're fighting evictions.
Again,
I mean,
again.
that's going to be. I mean, you're a landlord and you got people who
playing the
legitimately
game.
are not paying.
Yeah.
All right, legitimately not paying, and you can't kick them out. Well, I mean, that's pretty. How's a landlord going to
Yeah.
survive? I would never want to be a landlord today.
No. Oh God, no.
Hell no.
Hold up their tents and go away.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. And like I said, Eversource is going up on their rate again.
That finally came out. They didn't say
How
what the
much?
percentage was that got approved by Pura, but they said that the average person, it was first projected going to be like $38 a month extra. Now it's down to around 30. But even still, that's just
30.
wrong. That's
$30
wrong.
is $30.
Well, that's wrong. It's just, listen, if you didn't pay your bill, you deserve to be shut off until you pay it and get turned back on. Simple. Why does everybody else have to pay for that?
That's the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Norwich was the same thing.
Yes, they
Jewett
do.
City, you don't pay your bill in 30 days, they shut you off. They're very strict.
Norwich was 3 months. If you missed your third
right,
month and hadn't paid your first month that you owed, you were getting shut off. And you got 3 different colored letters in the mail. You got an automated phone call. You got a door knock. I mean, you knew it was coming. So they were more than generous.
Yeah. I mean, a small company like Jewett City,
I came up one time because their guys were on vacation up here. They called up. They had some non-pay shutoffs to do, and I got sent up here to go do them for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really?
Oh,
Absolutely.
Wow.
So Victoria says, what about back and side parking area at the TSC? What do you mean by TSC?
Tractor Supply.
Tractor Supply?
Yeah, you got the local business.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, they may
I mean,
have
that back parking lot is so underused, too. There's nothing back there.
There should be something back there. Anyway, and let's see. Facebook user, what about professional squatters? You've been hearing about the squatters, right? They move into vacant houses and then you can't kick them out.
Well, you know what I read the other day on the paper? Ramsey's restaurant in New London has been taken over by squatters.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a big fancy restaurant and the squatters.
And I know the catch to all of that is if they get mail delivered, you have to go through the eviction process to get them out. If they don't get mail delivered there, you can get them removed. But if they get mail delivered, it's a different game.
So Victoria says, did you see that Eversource is removing EV charging rebates?
Yes, they are.
They said that it's questionable as to whether the grid can handle it. Oh, I think we've been talking about
How
that.
about that, huh?
Right?
How about that?
We've been talking about that.
They finally got across the country from California realizing they couldn't handle it till
Okay.
here we are.
Somebody said California's figured it out.
Yeah.
And we said, no, they haven't. If you really read the real news, you'll figure out they have not.
They did. They tell people to shut their air conditioning off so they can charge cars.
Yeah. So you got to have the infrastructure in place before you can start thinking about electric vehicles and charging all your vehicles and stuff.
What is the biggest cost right now on Eversource's utility bill?
Probably generation.
So now you got EVs are going to add in there.
Sure.
Yeah.
What happens now?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to pay? Who's going to pay for those EVs?
Yeah.
The average customer, because they still got to go after
Yep.
generation.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
there you go. They should have never taken.
generation, though, I will tell you,
Should have
because
never
I was
taken
on
a-
the generation side.
Yep.
Paul was on the transmission distribution side.
No, not me. I was on the distribution
On
side.
distribution?
Yeah, so was I. Yeah.
So the Millstone had a contract in 2019 for 10 years at a fixed rate.
Mhm.
Right. So that's been a fixed rate since 2019. So the rates are still going up.
Thanks to deregulation.
And deregulation. And even at Millstone, when I was at Kanaki Yankee, then when they came up with the deregulation thing, it was like, that's nobody makes money off of deregulation except the people with money already.
The state.
Yeah. State and the boards of the utilities and
No, the whole thing was it was going to more competition was going to come in. It was going to make it more effective where people would compete for rates.
Yeah.
Well, that worked out like crap.
Well,
Yeah.
you got the third party people, the third party generators in there. I use one. I don't know it's who I have now, if it's Town Square or somebody like that. But with this increase that's happening and their approved increase coming, I'm ahead of the curve because I got it at 11.9 cents a kilowatt. So Eversources is going up. They always do.
Yeah.
And I'm good for 36 months. So I'm going to save a few bucks. It's not a lot, but a few bucks.
Yeah.
But they're not local people. I mean,
No.
that's I think what you're talking about is everybody expected companies would come in here and start generating power and trying to sell it. And but the only place I think is the wood burning plant in Plainfield, right?
That's it.
So Victoria says, and I love her. I'm loving her even more every time she says something. When you look at your bill, the generation number is the smallest on the bill. Our delivery charge is the highest.
Really? Mine was, I think I think last month, I think my generation was, they were probably pretty close, but that's only because I use a third-party generation
There's all
company.
kinds of fees. It's like everybody else. Banks put all kinds of fees on stuff.
Their list of fees is that long for crying out loud.
Everybody puts all these fees out there for what's like DirecTV. They put this fee out there, maintenance fee for what? What are you doing for me?
They're into micro pennies per kilowatt. It's crazy.
So yeah, and Pura is not protecting us. So there you go.
Just like the insurance commission isn't protecting us on home and autos.
No, they're all in bed together.
If you haven't found out yet, you're gonna.
And I think there's a move on to getting, now that I guess Pure is like still somewhat combined with what's the other organization there that
CMAC?
Deep.
Oh, Deep is the
CMAX for municipals.
That's the municipals, but no, Deep is Department of Energy.
Well, I thought Pura was part of Deep.
Yeah, they were separate before, so they didn't have their little puppet strings on them or whatever. So yeah, there's too much conflict of interest going on. They're not really protecting our customers here. So, and then she says, well, she's all over this. And our donation to those that don't pay was $31 last month. That was on her bill. So
under the public benefit part, right?
Yeah. So
public benefits. That used to be an option if you wanted to donate $1 or $2 to Operation Fuel. Now they just take it, right?
Yeah.
So is it time to break out the pitchforks and torches and start going to the Capitol or whatever? Because people are going to start getting upset when
bad things are going to happen.
Yeah, because the working people that
can't afford it,
that have been working all their lives and now have reached the end of the rainbow, like myself and Paul and you.
Yep.
We're on fixed incomes and stuff like that, and we're getting beaten up right and left.
Yeah.
Paul's seen it longer than I have.
Sure.
I just started, so it's not affecting me too much because my pension was good, but
the more they keep
20 years, in 20 years, that pension doesn't go up. It stays the same.
Mine's the same. Doesn't change. Yeah.
Doesn't change.
Yeah, you'll see that it's going to catch up to you.
Oh, yeah.
So my wife's going to have to keep selling houses. That's all I got to say.
If there's anything around.
And I'll push her along in her stroller so she can keep doing it.
Well, they won't be able to sell them because there's going to be squatters still living in them.
True. True.
So get her a scooter, get her out there selling those houses.
I mean,
85 years old.
think about now. What's going to happen with the landlords? Somebody's going to have to pay for people not wanting to get out.
Sure.
So now you got the utility bill where people are not paying their bills. I mean, now you got the food industry that's charging us big bucks, but they're blaming the supermarkets now.
Price gouging. Yeah.
Go talk to a landlord that does a normal eviction, what it cost him to do that. Yeah. Never mind the fact, the damage they leave behind now or anything like that. I mean, it's absolutely nuts.
I mean, they got taxes and everything else like the rest of us.
Yeah.
So
sure, they got
taxes
bills
go up. What are they going to do?
Yep.
So it's.
Oh, they got to come up with more money so we can give the immigrants the same thing that we got. Affordable housing and
the right to vote.
Carry a gun and all this other stuff. It's just insane. This is just totally insane what's happening around the country.
All the college tuitions that are going to be paid.
And the college tuitions.
All the loans.
They're looking at more again. They're looking.
Pay off. Who's paying for that?
It's an election year. Of course they're going to start doing that again.
Who's paying for it?
Yeah.
We are.
Eventually, yes.
Your grandchildren's great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren.
Absolutely.
My great-grandchildren won't be able to go to college because they'll be paying for the college that got paid off for Generation Now.
You look at some of these college, it's like go to Yale, they go to Princeton, they go to all these, $80,000, $90,000, $100,000. So they take the freaking loan out and now it's paid off. There's a lot of kids that would love to go to a nice school.
Well, I don't know. And there's certain guidelines, I guess, who they're going to pay the loans off to. And that's like super secret handshake stuff, I guess.
Well,
who's actually getting their.
I don't think it included any federal loans. It was private stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was an article in the paper the other day where Joe Biden was looking at paying out more than what people owed. And I'm like, why would you do that?
Right.
I mean, why would you even pay what they owe? First of all, they went to college. They knew what it was going to cost to go there. They signed the paperwork, pay your bill. But it is what it is. He's paying off these private loans, and now he wants to pay more than what they owe. I don't know if that money goes to, I don't think it's going to the person that owes. I think it's going to the schools. But it's like, oh my God, where does it stop?
I mean, there's a lot of legislatures who have loans too that are going to be paid off by Mr. Biden.
Sure. I can say that.
Are you saying that we got some crooked legislators?
No, I wouldn't say that.
I think we do. And we keep going after a certain individual right and left because, he's paying his bills for his overassessed properties. But, now they're finding him $160 million
Or something.
It's like, come on, stop it already.
I know.
But Victoria says, again, squatters have more rights than property owners.
Yes, they do.
A lot of people do.
Criminals have more rights than the honest people.
Mm-hmm.
They can walk right in your room, right in your house and steal you blind, and you can't really do a darn thing unless you feel like you're threatened.
You can.
And then you got the shoplifters walking in, taking stuff, walking out, and the people in the store won't do anything. They've been told not to do anything.
Told not to. Yep.
They don't want to get injured or whatever. You try to call the police. So
not in Florida. Florida governor is saying,
shoot them.
You do that, we're going to prosecute you or whatever.
I think Texas is the same way.
He made a statement one time about he hoped that everybody in the state of Florida owned a gun. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. There's consequences to choices you make. And I, as an American, and I'm sure you two guys are tired of seeing these people making the wrong choices and getting off with no consequences.
You ever been out to Putnam up to Runnings? It's like a tractor supply store. Only they're a little bit more. They sell guns and archery stuff, and they're a little bigger. They're a little better. I go there occasionally. And one night, when I made some purchases up there, I was walking to the door. I was talking to the woman who was getting ready to lock the door behind me, and I says, "What's with all these cages and everything that with padlocks on them now on stuff on Home Depot's got it.
Oh, they
Lowe's
got it.
And she says that the theft is so bad. She says, we had to do that. She says, our theft the month before was $19,000 out the door. And they're not allowed to leave the door and go after anybody in the parking lot. They call the police to, if a guy stole a $200 drill, the police aren't even coming for it. They won't even come. Yeah. So she says, we got to start locking things up.
Yeah. It's making it harder and harder for the honest, hardworking citizen to get by.
$19,000 in 1 month.
And then, so when they shoplift these items, where do you think the cost is going to?
Oh yeah. Next time that drill's $220 when you want to go buy one.
Because they're not going to suck it. You're not going to suck up the loss.
They can't.
They're going to pass it on.
They'll be closing the doors if they do.
Yeah. So not only are they stealing from the stores, they're stealing from us.
Yep.
So, because we're going to end up making up the profits.
True.
So, or stores are going to be closing down, or prices are going to go up, and it's just a never-ending cycle. So, the way I look at it, I've always said this: life is all about choice. You make the right choice, great. You make the wrong choice, you're going to pay for it. That's the way. That's the way it should go.
Well, I hear you, but unfortunately, nobody's paying for it. They're just letting them get away with it, and the more you let them get away with it, the more they're going to do it.
Yeah,
let's face it.
And then when they see other people getting away with it, then they're going to start leaning towards that way. They're enabling a bad habit.
Sure.
That's a bad behavior.
I don't know what it is, but Waterford must be the mecca for that, because Waterford Police Department on social media is constantly putting up pictures of people. If you recognize this person, this is the camera at Kohl's, this is the camera at Walmart. Yeah. Give us a call. We'd like to have a conversation about the $843 worth of clothing that they walked out of the store they forgot to pay for. Waterford is constantly online with that stuff. I don't know what it is. Yeah. Maybe because it's all the stores that are down there that are, available to people to do that. I don't know.
Yeah. I walked into Best Buy the other day because I was just looking around. Mm-hmm. I had to walk through a maze to get to the door.
Yeah. You can't run straight for the door.
No. Yep. You got to walk through a maze. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, they made it a little more difficult for you to get out.
There's a guy standing right there at the door.
No, there's always, he's been there for a while. Guys too. But yeah, they're always checking stuff up.
Yep.
Stuff out. See if you got a bag or if you got a receipt.
Sure.
You show them receipt
but I'm saying getting in.
Yeah, sure. Getting in. Yeah.
And then before, you just walk through the door.
Walk through the door.
Now it's a freaking maze to get into the door.
Yeah. And they got a lot of the smaller stuff either behind the counter or locked up.
Yeah.
Or they have the cards. You take a card and you walk up to
Yep.
the
And they
person
go
at the cash
get it in the
register, and
back
they go get it in the
somewhere.
back
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
This is where we've gotten to that.
This is
A lot of lack of trust out there. So Victoria says about the squatters, she goes, Mama Glock says otherwise.
This is true.
Mama Glock. Yeah.
So I understand that. And, that's why there's a big move. Every time you see something with guns involved, we got to make a big deal about the guns and all that stuff. Because once they get the guns, look out.
Yeah. Well, out where she lives, they have tractors with backhoes on them.
Yep.
You just
dig
dig a
deep
hole.
holes.
Just dig a deep hole and push them in like they do a dead cow or a dead horse.
Yep.
So anyway, good stuff. I'm going to talk about some good stuff because Mike's not here. I'm allowed to talk about this now. So on the May 18th, the Jewett City Fire Department's having their stuffed chicken breast dinner. Matter of fact, this is our little commercial break here.
Mhm.
From 4 to 6 on May 18th. Takeout only, $15 donation per ticket. Tickets are on sale with either the members of the firehouse or at the firehouse or Jewett City greenhouses. And please support that. It helps raise funds for the Jewett City Fire Department.
Yeah.
So
the other thing that we have going on too is on the 14th we have that QR training with suicide. It's happening at the library.
Yeah.
So it's being sponsored by Health and Safety Group of town. So it starts at 6 p.m. Slater Library. So
yep.
It's a good program for people to go into.
What's the date on it?
Hmm?
What's the date?
14th.
So
May 14th.
What time was that?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, it's being put on by, I guess, Miranda's involved.
Miranda, I believe, is involved in that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So it's something that people should.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I got a delegate in one of the delegations for, I forget which one, whether it's Heather or Brian. But I'll be at one of those. But, support them getting in office and trying to keep things going squared away. Let's see. Victoria's also got, she's busy this morning. April 20th, Sterling Grange is doing a stuffed chicken dinner to benefit Family Day. Pays for the fireworks.
Poor chickens, man. They're taking a hit.
Yeah.
All the chickens are dying off for all these fundraisers.
Yeah.
So
it's that time of year.
Yeah, I'm thinking next year or maybe later this year, we're going to have another chicken dinner or some kind of fundraiser so we can pay for the Jewett City Fire Department banquet for next year because apparently some people think it's way too much money for our volunteer firefighters to have a nice dinner together.
I think the words were kind of extravagant, wasn't it? Something like that.
Extravagant.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Well, it could be chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chicken, steak,
It's not
whatever.
like they were eating filet mignon. They were eating chicken.
Yeah. He's used to coming out of the Navy.
True.
Yeah. And of course, Victoria says, Wayne, I'll see you at the convention. I don't know if I'll be there, but we'll see. Anyway, what else we got to talk about for the town? And we already beat the horse up with the Board of Finance stuff going on. And anything else, Paul? We lost our $1,000. That got cut. That was like one of the first things right off the bat. Boom.
That was quick.
There's no ifs, ands, uts about it. It was gone.
That was like number 2 and number 3. It was
number 2
gone.
on the list.
You know,
Boom.
I mean, I realize we only have $1,000, but just imagine if you spent all this time.
Mm.
Yeah,
Figure it out.
Then I got Kathy texting me, and I says she's watching the stream, and she's texting me and says, "Why don't you try to negotiate down to 500 or 250?" I said, "You guys stop that, will you? I'm not going to sit here and negotiate." So they took it. We'll try to do something next year or something like that. We'll see. We'll probably be in better footing next year. What do you think, Rich?
Laugh. They'll be taking away more.
So with 150,000
from zero, right?
So the 150,000 they took out, you're gonna have to pay that back next year. So that's gonna be
That's correct.
it's like 1/6.
It's like 0.16 mil.
It's
It's not
1/6.
much.
Yeah, it's not much, but when you have to add to everything else, it's
Sure.
still something.
Sure.
And I'm not quite sure they're going to pay the whole 600,000 off this year.
Yeah.
I think they need to rethink that. But, you know,
Well, what do they normally do during, if you're in a business and you don't have the funds? What's the biggest expense they cut? Employees.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And nobody's addressed
we
that.
can't cut any employees in the town,
It's just
well,
like
or the school. We're short employees in the town as it is, and we can't even pay the employees there.
They just hired 2 guys for public works for crying, and the other one hasn't even started yet.
He starts in a week and a half.
Yep.
no, you know what they would have done during with a regular business? They would just put them aside.
Yeah.
They wouldn't hire them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what would happen.
Yep.
Yep. So,
Okay, so who's going to fix the roads? That was like the number one thing Tina and Lori
but
put
you
out.
got to
in the
have
meeting.
money to fix the roads.
This is
Well, they took 30,000 off of that too.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
so-
a hard spot to be in, right?
Yeah.
You're already starting at 1.1 mil, which nobody likes that number already.
Right.
I honestly don't think it's going to pass.
Economic.
I
economic
think-
growth.
I
They're-
think
they're- and that was some of the concerns, because they're sitting at 1.5 and some people think it's not going to pass. So they're already asked the school to cut 385,000, not to mention the Chromebooks, which are getting old. Talked
Right.
about that a
That
little
was
bit yesterday.
132,000 more.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they wanted to get that off of capital. There's a lot of things coming up in this town, not necessarily
So if they-
this year, but
To
down
take
the
it off
road.
of capital, what's it become, an expense?
What?
What is it? If it's taken off of capital, what is it? An expense?
Well, some people have the thought that it's like a reference book and it should be in the school budget.
Should be
So
part of
either
the
that, it's
So
still going
that
to be in
doesn't
the
mean it's not capital. It just means it's in the wrong budget.
right.
Well,
But
that's
it's
how
got to
they're
come
looking
from
at it,
somewhere.
yeah.
So this year, because they still have to cut 385, any of the kids with the older Chromebooks that were started up by the state 4 years ago, because you look at your phones, how long do they last? Usually people are out there getting new phones every 2-3 years, right?
Mm,
Yeah.
Maybe 4.
Yeah. Usually, yeah.
So that's why they put it on capital, because every year they're going to have to get a new population of Chromebooks based on usage and age and things like that. So some kids are going to be without Chromebooks because they think it's the same thing as a reference book, but
Yeah,
they
you
still
see-
buy reference books. It's not a reference book.
Yeah.
Right.
See, when I look at capital, I look at it as an asset to the town.
Yeah.
When I look at capital, we're coming from a utility business. When you look at capital, a pole would be a capital item. Same way with a transformer.
Right.
That's a capital item.
The laptop in my truck had an asset tag on it
Correct.
because it
See,
was a
when I look
tool.
at capital,
It was a
they
tool.
they look at capital different because what it does is it puts the value. Because one of the things utilities want to do, they want everything to be capital.
Yeah.
Because it makes their value with the company go up.
Sure.
So, and I look at it as, some people look at it as a reference book, as something that the school should be buying, and some people look at it as part of the infrastructure of the school. Just like in the town, when you got printers, computers, things like that, as part of the infrastructure and IT and all that stuff. So it's a fine line. But if you look at some of the local schools in the area that was researched, like Ledyard, Plainfield, Killingly, all those type of things are on capital.
Yep.
So why are we different?
I don't know.
So
I have no clue.
Well, because if it goes back to capital, the 132,000 is another sixth of a mil, something like that, whatever it works out to be. So it just drives the mill rate up.
So if you add it into the school budget, it's still going to show up. And then
It's
they're
going to
gonna-
show up
And then that's probably,
unless you cut. Then you can cut their budget.
then they can cut the budget. So, but they still cut it out of capital. So it doesn't matter. They can cut it either way.
Yeah.
So,
It's just a shell game. That's all it is.
but, that'll be ongoing conversations. And that's a proposed cut. That hasn't finished.
True.
That's still a discussion.
All of it's
Bring
only,
that up, Scott. Still proposed.
All of it's only proposed.
Yeah. So Scott says, Rich, I agree. I think the use of 150,000 for surplus needs to be rethought. So there you go. So that's not a dead subject either.
Yeah, it's just such a small amount. Like, it was discussed even at the meeting that it barely moves the needle on the mill rate. I mean, stop with the borrowing money. I mean, get yourself above board. I mean, if if that has to affect the mill rate that little bit, then, people have to suck it up, because one way or another, you're either going to pay it out of pocket now, or you're going to pay it back next year and borrow again. What's the difference? I mean, just get yourself out of that habit. Leave that fund alone.
Well, the fund's there for a purpose, right?
True.
And it's sitting there. And it's sitting there for emergencies.
Yeah, emergencies.
So,
I don't really think this is an emergency when you're talking $150,000, because it's such a small amount on the mill rate. Listen, if you're 3 mills off and you got to dig into that fund to bring that back a little bit, yeah, you got a problem. You got to do something. But for 150,000,
they did it last year, right?
600.
They dipped into it to make the mill rate zero.
Yeah, $600,000.
Correct, $600,000.
Right.
Came from.
Yeah. So
Right.
Yeah, it's a
not going to be
hard decision to make, because when you're sitting there thinking this budget may not pass with where we're at right now,
Right.
if it goes through the meeting process and all that stuff, and they come up with the final number, then you let the people figure it out.
Really, if it comes in at 1.5 right now, and you included that 150, and it ended up being, 1.65, now you throw it out there to the people. If they vote it down, well, now you think about going into that general fund and reducing it a little bit. Don't go in there now, because if you go in there now trying to bring it down, people are going to want more. At least go in and, give the full numbers and let people decide.
Yep.
I mean, I know referendums aren't cheap, but
if I $5
I
grand,
think it was $6-7 grand.
$6,000 to
$7
$7,000.
grand.
It's a lot of money. And what was it? Not long ago, 4 or 5 years ago, we went through 5 referendums to get a budget. You don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, my wife said it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I
When she was
remember
first
it well.
on it was like 10 years ago.
And then before that, I remember one time it was so bad that they actually sent out tax bills based on the current rate.
Yeah.
And when the budget got approved, you got a supplemental bill for the difference that it went up.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
we don't need to play them games.
It's a bad habit to get into.
It absolutely.
So I think Scott's in agreement. So there'll be more conversation. So like everything we're talking about, all these numbers are not set in stone. These are all going to be moving around.
But what does that mean?
Discussions
When you say they're not set in stone, but what does that mean? Are we going to go up, or are we going to cut more?
Depends on what happens at the
It depends on
referendums and
what
the hearings.
What we agree on from the hearings, what the people want.
You bring stuff back in again. It's
Right.
going back up.
Well, people understand that. I think people understand that.
Yeah.
I hope they
I'm not
understand
sure, because people probably aren't paying
People are going to
attention.
want more stuff put back in, but they're going to want money taken out.
Yeah,
They're not going
paying.
to. They don't understand. I don't know. I won't say they don't understand. They do understand that you want more, you're going to pay for it, but you can't have both. If you
I
want
think some
more,
people understand that the long range plan is to get through the infrastructure and to get business in here to try to offset this problem, which is
something
Scott and
that
I
should
have
have
talked
happened
about
long
this
ago.
before, and everybody's been talking about it. We've been talking about it since the whole election process and all that stuff. Everybody's talking about the biggest thing that we need to do for the town is the infrastructure project and start getting commercial
and it costs
revenue
money
in.
to do it. You got to spend money to make money.
See, and that's where I don't really think we need an economic development manager in town. Where do we have property in this town we're going to be able to utilize an economic development person for years to come?
We don't have a lot.
We don't have a lot. So once you use it up,
You got your 395 corridor over here, and you've
That's
got it over where 201 dumps off. That's all you got.
so if you hire this guy, what's he going to do 3 years down the road?
What's he got? Like 4 pieces of property to market?
That's it.
It's not a lot.
So I don't agree that we should hire. Plainfield's different.
They got a lot of land.
They have a lot of land. Here we don't. So I would say I totally agree. We don't need an economic development person. Do we need to spend some money towards economic development to bring people in? Yes.
Do we have any people in the town hall that are good at presenting the town in a marketable way?
I don't know.
I
It's
don't
a good
know.
question.
Don't know.
That's the problem that I
used
have.
to.
That's the problem that I have that I'm looking at right now. And I also know, talking to Mr. Barney, that the other challenges, and I've heard it from others, that people that own these properties are looking for the golden ticket. They're not looking to sell what the property is assessed at, right? They're
Yeah.
looking for 2 or 3 times what they're really worth because
Sure.
it's sitting along the corridor, it's sitting
Absolutely.
along 164 on
They're
the way to
waiting
the
for the
casino.
infrastructure to go in.
Right, and the infrastructure goes in, and then they're asking for this much money, and businesses are going to go tell them, "Screw you."
Yeah.
I'm not paying that much money.
That's a tough deal for them. They're waiting for infrastructure so they can get more money for their property. And if infrastructure doesn't come, then they're sitting on that property because nobody's going to want it.
They're still paying
Right.
taxes on it.
Right. Exactly.
So
Where do you cut your losses on that?
Yeah.
Yep.
At one time, we used to market. There was an organization in Rocky Hill that we used to belong to at one time, and I can't remember what the hell the name of it was, but they would have people come into town and they would look at all the various different properties around us, see what was available. That was years ago. Now
It was talked about. I think when Tina first got into office, they were talking about things like that. Has it happened?
No.
Nope.
No.
So
We don't even know where the guy with the pot farm went. Where the hell did he go?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. I have no clue.
No, he was from the last I heard. I think you said that they were supposed to go back to find out
Yeah.
about the 3% and see if what was going to be good for the town. And we're going to put this thing in, and they're going to be not bringing anything into the town, or maybe be minimal. We're still going to get property tax on the property, and if he improves the property, that'll increase the taxes. But
I have no idea where the guy even is.
so
Is he gone? I don't know.
So
Lost interest, I think, was the words that
either
we
that, or
used.
he went back and talked to the people he's representing, and they said, "Oh, yeah, okay, we're not interested." So
Well, the only difference would be that we wouldn't get the 3%. They could still do whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Nothing says that they can't,
Well, that's what we were saying. Said they can still do what they want to do. They're going to
they're just
improve
not
the
paying
property.
town 3%.
Yep.
So what?
Hey, listen, it's jobs.
It's jobs. It's
Yeah.
a hazard down there where it's at right now
Sure.
with the building the way
So
it
we
is. The
should
property.
not be pushing these people away.
Just
No.
like
And
Jewett
the
City
other thing,
Power, there's the other thing, and the water and everything else. Yeah.
we should. Why is that question not being brought up in the referendum? Do we want to have marijuana in the town?
When I asked who was there that I asked, was there any other questions going to be brought up during the referendum?
Yeah.
I think it was at the RTC. I asked Cindy Martin, who's the Register of Voters Republican, if she knew of any other questions coming up, because I know we've been talking about the Board of 5 selectmen, which I think should be a question. Is the town interested in that?
Yep.
They should. Is there going to be something about the dispensary brought up again,
Right.
Or anything else? And
Anything
she
to do
didn't.
with-
She didn't know of any other questions that were going to be
So,
brought up on the
Are
referendum
we gonna,
besides
we
voting
gotta-
for the budget.
Yeah, it should be on a ballot. Put it.
Yep.
This should be
take
gotta-
advantage of the opportunity.
Take
Yep.
it.
Ask the questions. Let people answer you. See where the town wants to
Yep.
go.
But
so-
I mean, come on, it's already coming up on May now, and we're like a month and a half away from the referendum.
June 4th.
You go to meetings. I go to meetings. You go to meetings. People don't come to meetings and voice their opinions. Put it on that ballot. Let them voice their opinion there. You're going to get a whole lot more than you're ever going to get at meetings.
Here's the thing that I have is, and since I've been, started running for first selectman, and I had people. Paul was the first question. So who are you, and where have you been, and what do you know? So I know a lot more now because I started getting involved.
Yeah,
True.
What's going on, and
True.
And now you got these meetings being streamed. Board of Select, Board of Finance. You can also go on and read all the minutes, find out what's going on. For all the boards, all the committees.
People don't. They still ask what happened.
So a lot of people vote they just look at a number. They don't understand what they're voting for.
Exactly.
So they don't
Or
get
they
educated.
rely on their neighbors. So what are you voting
Yep.
for? Yeah, I'll vote
Yep.
for that too.
So
Yeah.
There are people that watch the streams. I mean,
Yep.
I've talked to a few of them online.
Yeah.
They know what's going on, but I would say the majority probably don't.
So Erica says, I think the too high, too low question should be asked on every budget vote. I have often voted yes because I know if I voted no, they will cut more when I really wanted more.
And I thought that used to be on
It
the
was
education
on.
portion. Too
It used
high
to
or
be.
too low?
It hasn't been on there
No.
recently.
Because if you didn't like the budget, it was just assumed it was too high.
Right.
And I think they put too high or too low. It used to be on there years ago when they first separated the two out.
So yeah, it's a good point. Because they assume it's going to be too high when some people are going to say, well, we really should have this, really should have that. Because if you go to the hearing and you hear, what's coming at us. I mean, I had an eye-opening meeting with Jim Barney, who does the Capitol. And he's got a 5 and 20-year plan and stuff, and what's coming at us. And you can find out about equipment that's aging, buildings that are aging, and maintenance and all that stuff. That
So look
needs
at
to
the
happen.
conversation about fire apparatus the other night, right?
Right. That's what I'm
Now
getting
you're
to.
looking at trucks that start at $1 million at this point.
Right.
$1 million.
Yeah.
And the whole
And
point-
Jim's got a good point, because the one thing we used to do when I worked at Eversource, if there was a piece of equipment that we used to keep track of how much maintenance was done on that piece of equipment.
Mhm.
If it got to the point where you were spending more on maintenance than replace it, you replaced it, because they
Right.
Sure.
always kept track of maintenance on certain
Sure.
pieces of equipment.
Sure.
Yep.
I don't know if we do that now. I'm sure the fire department does. So
Well-
they got a good point.
Well, usually goes out to get repaired because you have to be certified to work on
Right.
fire trucks to
Right.
begin with. So
They do very little maintenance
Right.
because if something happens, then they're liable.
that's right.
So it has to go to a certified mechanic so they can fix the trucks, and they're not cheap.
No.
I
Look
think
at the bill from Corville's the other day, right?
right. So it was Tom Hollowati from the Griswold Fire said he had to go get a frame repaired on one of the trucks. Whatever is fine right now, but he needed like 200,000, 300,000.
He said they could do the frame for around 75,000.
Okay.
But, at that point, they got 25,000 into it for brakes and exhaust and the pump repairs that had to be
Yep.
done. And, what happens between now and then?
We also know that once they open up Pandora's box, you don't know what you're going to find, right?
That number could go way up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that truck could end up essentially being made junk right there.
Yeah. So what do they do? I don't know. Do they take a frame? They take a body off and fix the frame?
Well, that's the problem. They can't fix it, but
They're doing a patch.
that's the problem too. Is all of this equipment in town that's got these problems going on is 20, 22, 23 years old. It's at the end of life.
And we just got a new truck at Jewett City that they ordered 2 years ago for $750,000, and that same truck's now $950,000
Yep. 2 years later,
if they order it now.
same truck.
So Griswold's looking for a new pumper truck and
A ladder, right?
I don't know if they got a ladder. We have a ladder.
Okay.
In the city.
I thought
And those are going for like
somebody was
$1.5
looking for a ladder.
right
Right
now,
I thought
something
somebody
like
was
that.
looking for a ladder.
And they have to do something with ladder truck maintenance to get it to last another 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
That's going to run like about $200,000-$300,000 just for
Mhm.
maintenance to make it last another 10 years.
That's
Well-
cheaper than buying a new truck.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about a lot of trucks. I mean, we got, there was what about Heritage Village?
Hmm.
Is that going to be a 2-story, 3-story building they're going to
I
have?
think 3. I think.
So do we have fire trucks that will get up 3 stories?
We do.
We do.
Yeah. Jewett City Fire Department has a
Yeah.
ladder truck.
So that's one truck. So
Yeah.
You got
that's one spot.
7,500
But we
foot.
don't know what's going to come on 164 else.
No.
What are they going to build there?
And let's not
Then
forget,
we would have to adjust. You're right, because the more we put stuff up, the more strain it's
Sure.
going to put on like affordable housing and all this other stuff that they're talking about for Heritage River or whatever. It's going to put a strain on the fire houses, EMS, police.
and there was a
schools.
little bit of that conversation about the fire trucks as it related to the public works trucks, and they've got those issues coming their way too. All that salt and crap that they use on the roads, eating the underside of the
Yeah.
trucks, and
Yeah.
those trucks aren't cheap to buy either.
And so that's why there's a discussion about the I think
wash
it's the
bay.
wash pit,
Yep.
so they can wash the underside of the trucks, not only the fire trucks, but the town
Yep.
town garage vehicles and all that stuff, or the public works vehicles and everything like that. They get the
Mhm.
salt and all the clean underneath it to extend the life of these vehicles,
Sure.
right? Because that's the chemical they're using now for the snow melt is eating these things up alive. So unless
yeah.
there's galvanized and stuff like that, but a lot of the older vehicles don't have that.
No, that's why they brought it away.
So, or they're not coated underneath.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Scott Davis said about Erica's question about too high, too low. He says it was on there the year we had several referendums. It was being so long ago, I don't fully recall, but I believe there was a limitation or logistics with wording, which might be why it doesn't appear every year.
Yeah. I think he's right about them multiple referendums, because I don't think the town could figure out what people wanted at that point after the 5th vote.
Yep.
So it's possible. Yeah.
And Victoria added that Sterling has a ladder truck. Yeah, so I think you know, they're so Jim's got this long range plan. He's got money set aside for these vehicles. That
Of
we're
course.
looking at,
You have to.
So
You're
it's a
talking
plan
millions.
out. But the thing is if this year it's the Chromebooks, next year what's it going to be? That's going to get kicked off capital,
Right.
And I think there are some other items. I don't have the paper in front of me about what else was taken off of
Health and
capital.
safety.
That's not on Capital Pal.
Oh, okay. We should put it on capital.
Don't know where we are at this point, right?
So yes. So I guess I'm going to have to go around with paper bag and ask for donations. Knock on doors. Hey, can I have a couple bucks for public health and safety? Or standing at a corner. Public health and safety donations. I don't know. So it's a hard deal, and I think the hearing was April 30th.
I believe so.
Yeah. So I think that's what we said yesterday. April 30th. I believe it's at the middle school auditorium.
Oh, was it?
Typically,
I don't know. They didn't say when they put it out there.
Yeah, so
They
they'll
didn't say where it was.
They'll put it out there, I'm sure, but they may have to move it to the high school auditorium. It's going to be a lot of people. Yeah, if you have a hard spot with where we're at, then come and speak your mind. So Victoria says yes, April 30th. Location I'm not sure about, but I'm sure we'll find out. What's today?
Friday.
April what? 19th?
19th.
Yeah, so it's 11 days away. It's coming quick.
Yeah.
So, all right. Got anything to talk about? Anything else? Any other questions out there? Any concerns that people have? So I think that was a good discussion. Brought up some points.
Unfortunately, it's the same old points. If we're talking about it, I'm sure people are talking about it.
Well, they are.
Erica says, sounds like Chromebook insurance is moving up from its $20 a year insurance for damage. I'm not sure about that, but so yeah, when they issue Chromebooks, parents are given the option to get the $20 insurance on it, because if they get damaged or whatever, it gets replaced, and the parents don't have to pay out of pocket for
Cheap money.
Whole Chromebook, because kids can be kids.
Sure. Falls out of their book bag. Who knows? Right?
Things happen. So it's probably not a bad thing to spend.
Yeah.
Make sure
$20 is cheap.
Yeah. But even with that, Chromebooks only last so long. That was the reason why I was on capital. So every year they replenish a certain population. And Jim had inflation each year on what the cost would be. Puts a lot of work into that.
Yeah,
capital plan, so.
It's just, things are going to get tough. I mean, it could come down to, unfortunately, unemployment, employees getting bumped. That could happen.
Yeah. Well, that's the point. When we get to a certain point, like with the school and the town, we're already short an assessor. We're short an assistant for the town planner. I heard the town clerk staying on through the election now.
Yeah.
She's not leaving in July, so she's sticking around. So that gives them more time to find a town clerk. And there's certain requirements for that town clerk's position. It's not just any old person. It's got to be somebody in the town with certain certifications and stuff like that.
And you can understand, you kind of wonder why maybe she's staying. Maybe she looked at it and said, I'm going to retire. How the hell am I going to afford to retire? Think about it.
Possibly. Who knows?
So,
a lot of what a lot of companies do, and and I know it, they outsource.
Yeah.
They outsource. They don't have employees anymore.
Yeah.
They outsource. Well,
And it's
third parties. I had to deal with a third party.
Either it's outside.
When I was retiring, I had to deal with a third party retirement planner. Deal with that, and also insurance and stuff like that.
I mean, who knows in the future? It may come down to you're not paying any insurance or any benefits at all. You're just paying a flat rate. Eventually, it may happen.
Yeah.
So,
a lot of stuff to think about, and I hear the bells.
Is the bells.
Must
It
be
must
10
be-
o'clock.
Must be 10 o'clock.
Yep.
So it's good to hear the bells again. That's a positive.
Yeah.
So
Well,
got any positive words?
Well, I
with?
think it's supposed to be not bad over the weekend. I think tomorrow's going to rain a little bit, but I think Sunday's supposed to be okay.
Well, thank you for that, Paul. How about the gnats? How are the gnats lately?
They're a pain in the ass.
That and the ticks. Let's not forget the ticks.
Let's not forget the ticks.
All right. So Scott Davis said the location's to be determined most likely at 7 p.m. So yeah, the location hasn't been determined yet. So
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott.
So I guess that'll be it. Got anything else to add, guys?
No, I think we're
Yeah.
good.
No.
All right. So Monday it'll be myself. Hopefully I can figure out what my camera problem is. And then I believe we'll have Kathy Wasselick and Paul on Monday morning.
Right.
And Mike will be flying back from his son's wedding in Kansas. So it's not this isn't Kansas any longer.
He's probably out there visiting Dorothy.
Yeah, Dorothy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, maybe he can get some of those red shoes and tap his heels and fix our tax problems.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
So anyway, everybody have a good day.
Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend, and we'll be talking more on Monday. Sayonara.